And welcome back to another edition, folks, of Steady Dropping Dimes. This is the show where we go inside. We call out the things that, we really want to go. Like when we're talking on our own, we're bringing this to you. Our conversations behind the scenes, as much of them as we can bring to you. That's what this show is all about. Not just about Michigan, although Michigan is the front page news all over sports and all over the sports world these days. So we're talking Michigan a lot more than normal, but we get into the NFL. You see my Lions behind me. You get into the NBA. We get into it all here on Steady Dropping Dimes. Of course, my esteemed co-hosts and colleagues. One of them is an Emmy Award winner, former Big Ten starting quarterback, the guy who debated me on James Franklin versus Jim Harbaugh. And so we got to bring that back up today.
I don't know why you keep doing
it. When we start talking about coaching malpractice, we got to bring up old Boone's Farm James. We got to do it today. I'm talking about my man, Devin Gardner. Devin, how are you?
I'm offended that you continuously try to attack me as if you know what? Never mind, man. I don't want to talk about it no more.
Why is it an attack when I bring up something you said? That's not an attack. That's just a reminder. There's a difference.
All you want to do is attack me. Sorry.
And then, of course, another of my esteemed colleagues, a former McDonald's All-American, came in and set the Big Ten on fire as a true freshman at the University of Michigan before the NCAA and, frankly, the University of Michigan robbed him of an NCAA tournament appearance. I spoke on that last week and didn't even have you speak on it, Daniel. So we're going to have you do that this week. But Daniel Horton, how you doing, Daniel?
Doing good. Good to be back for another week, man.
Yeah, it's great to be back for another week. And listen, Steady Dropping Dimes is brought to you by our friends at Destination Ann Arbor. They are your tour guides to all things Ann Arbor. So a lot of folks come into town for what we think will be the battle for it all. The Big Ten championship goes through Ann Arbor next week, and there will be thousands of people descending upon town. A lot of them are regular visitors, some of them not. You want to know the places to go, the places to hang out, the hottest spots, the best place to eat, the best places to stay? Destination Ann Arbor, your tour guide to all things Ann Arbor, where you're coming to town on a game day weekend, or you're coming to town during the week. You're visiting the university, visiting your kids, what have you. You live in Ann Arbor, and there are places you don't know about. We're finding out about those things all the time. And on today's edition of I Love Ann Arbor, we are going to highlight the newest member of the Destination Ann Arbor family. Just signed his NIL deal with Destination Ann Arbor, and we're going to be following him around Ann Arbor to some of his favorite spots coming up. And I'm talking about the young fella who brought the turnover bus. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that in I Love Ann Arbor a little bit later, fellas. Will Johnson is who I'm talking about, and we'll feature him on I Love Ann Arbor, brought to you by Destination Ann Arbor. Here's the deal, though, fellas. Michigan getting done dirty. DG, you and I talked about it, so we've said our piece. Talking about Tony Petitti, talking about how they gave Harbaugh, gave Michigan news of their suspension while they were on the plane to Happy Valley and through the media. The media got it before Michigan. So, Daniel, you have the floor, man. You got to get your thoughts on it before we talk about the emotion that Chiron Moore said after the game, showed after the game, because everyone's talking about that now. From Stephen A. to Pat Ford, everybody has something to say about Chiron showing that emotion. So before we get to that, your reaction to the way the Big Ten handled the suspension for Jim Harbaugh.
I think it's kind of universal that everybody thinks that it was Bush League the way, as we say in the South, how they handle it, right? Like, you should wait till they get on the plane to make a decision that could have been made early in the week to allow the team to prepare for not having it. But you wait till they get on the plane, they find out as they get off the plane. And this is one of those things where, like, the Big Ten has always reacted that way towards Michigan in certain situations. The former Big Ten commissioner, Jim Delaney, he was the same way. You know what I mean? He's, like, to me, in my 20 plus years of being associated and being around the Big Ten, I think compared to the SEC, the leadership and the way they handle things has been extremely poor. You know what I mean? No matter from the rules to even the officiating, like the referees that they choose for basketball and all that, it's just everything that the Big Ten does from the top down until you get to the individual institutions is really, really handled poorly. And it's been that way since I've been affiliated and watching the Big Ten. So I wasn't surprised by that. You know, when you didn't when certain things didn't happen leading up to it, like, okay, they keep saying something's gonna happen, like okay, they're gonna get it. So it was more one of those things where it was a matter of when and not if. So I wasn't shocked or surprised by it. So
yeah, I don't think any of us were shocked. But here's the thing: when is a real big part of the story. Like, they didn't come to the decision to suspend him Friday at 5:00. You can't tell me they didn't know as soon as they got Michigan's response. They knew when they let Michigan know on Monday. Like, so they let Michigan know that we want to let you know that we are, considering a suspension. Well, Michigan knew that when they came to town, right? He came to town talking about that indefinite suspension. So everybody knew a suspension was going to come. But you got to wait until 5:00. 5:00 when they're already on the way, DG. Like, you know how it works. You're in the media now. You drop stuff on a Friday late. So can anybody react to it? It's not even just about, catching them off guard. It's the news dump in the news cycle where all the talking, there were a lot of people for all of the haters on Michigan, because there is some hating going on as far as this whole ordeal. There are a lot of sports people that's like, okay, I think Michigan needs to get punished, but the way y'all doing this, DG, this is wrong. To let him know when he's 18 hours out of the game and he's on his way to the game already. Yeah, man, how they did, when they did it, showed that it got personal. At least that's what it says to me.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of different things, but the two words I would point to is 1 week, right? It's almost like, hey, let's try to get him in the middle of the night when ain't nobody paying attention. Let's do it now. And then also, it was just extremely unprofessional, right? Right. This is a professional entity that's sneaking around, tiptoeing, and you are going to suspend the man while he's on the plane on the way to Happy Valley. I think the whole Big Ten, everybody that made that decision or had a hand in it, they got egg on their face right now. Because now they're looking crazy like, dang, they still got it done. Because that was our plan, right? We suspend him. He can't really do nothing about it. He don't coach. They play against the top 10 team. Top 10 team beat them. Now we don't got to worry about all that other stuff. We don't got to worry about them going to championship because now, whether they beat Ohio State or whatever, you feel me? Well, that kind of backfired because now you got them as motivated as ever, right? As motivated as ever. And they just completely demolished the team, even though the score, they beat them by more than Ohio State, by the way. Just 1 point, but they beat them by more. It is what it is. All right, they beat them by more in their arena without their head coach. And so now you almost made a martyr of U of M, right? It was a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of haters, but now you're almost making them like a martyr, like, wait a minute, hold on now. That we understand, maybe just give them a fine, get in them pockets a little bit. But you can't try to do this. How you doing this? Come on. And so now you got all of it. That's why Harbaugh was talking about this America's team. America is kind of getting behind it. Like, I see a lot of people have kind of changed their tune because, one, they're realizing, so they didn't have Penn State signs. They didn't have their head coach. They didn't throw a pass in the second half, and they still beat them by more than Ohio State did on the road. Maybe it wasn't the signs, right? Maybe it wasn't the signs. Maybe it just wasn't the signs. And so now it's starting to flip of like, okay, if it wasn't the signs, why are y'all doing this? And why would you do it at that time? Without giving them a chance. Just give them get in the pockets a little bit, get in Michigan's pockets, maybe Arbor, whoever's. But don't ruin what we love, which is college football, because you tried to ruin it saying they were cheating, and we had to look at them differently. And then they do that, and it's like, well, don't ruin this season for us. We want to see Michigan at this strength, as good as they've ever been, against a Georgia or whoever, and you guys are trying to sabotage it. And people love their college football. I'm just telling you. So you can see the kind of shift in what people are talking about, except for people like, Feinbaum, who really don't like Harbaugh to begin with and all that.
Right.
Or Stephen A. Stephen A, man, he's an interesting dude. Because we talked about, you saw Desmond give him the business last week.
He did give him the business.
Desmond gave it a bit, and Desmond gave it to him nice. See, man,
Did that recover from big Penix? Is we good there? It seemed like you might have been a recovery there.
Hey, you need to leave Des alone.
I'm asking, did he recover from that? Because I think that's a recovery.
Hey, he recovered well.
He not only gave it to Stephen A. He gave it to McElroy too. Yeah. And McElroy didn't know how to handle it. He like, wait a minute, are you arguing me back and forth on TV? Yes, I am, and I'm not letting you get away with no garbage. I'm gonna keep telling you. I think he back. He went.
Here's the funny thing about it. Like, these are your colleagues. You got to maintain professional decorum, even when they sound stupid, right? You got to call it out tactfully, and that's what he did to Stephen A. Because hey, listen. I appreciate the man's hustle. Like, he has hustled his way into, and I don't mean that, I don't mean hustle as pejorative. I mean, that's how I was raised.
It's
like,
grind.
you gotta hustle to get you got to have 4 or 5.
He's similar to Sam in that, right? Sam been grinding, man.
Hey, but that's how I was brought up. Y'all are doing the same thing. That's just how we were brought up. You gotta hustle. You gotta have a bunch of different things going, because you don't want to be too reliant on one thing. That's the model of success, that you always grinding, right? So I appreciate that about him. But as part of his grind, he has, it's like he don't want to use his help. Like, I talked about this last week.
Yeah.
One of the fundamental reasons I wanted to do this, because first of all, I love y'all. Y'all my guys. It's like, man, a chance to hang out with the fellas. And I appreciate your sports opinions. You challenge me, challenge my thinking on things. But it's also that you bring a level of expertise that I don't, right? So when you have that at your disposal, there's a certain amount of deference that you have to offer. And I thought he had done that with Desmond, because Desmond got on the show with him and was like, Stephen A., I don't know if you know this. He didn't say, man, you got like 20 researchers. You couldn't find out that Michigan hired 5 new coaches. You couldn't find out that they won back-to-back Joe Moore awards. You couldn't find out they ran it like 60 times against Ohio State in 21. You couldn't find out they were blowing out Penn State. Like, he didn't say it like that. He said, oh, Stephen A., hey, man, you might not know this, but they won the best offensive line award in college football 2 years in a row, and then they hired a bunch of other new coaches. So he was real nice about it. Yeah. And then Stephen A. was like, okay, I defer to you. Then the next day, Daniel, he right back on the same kick. Yeah. You need to ban him from the playoffs. Like, what?
Yeah.
Wait, happened? He said that?
Yeah, he came back the next day and tripled down. But with Stephen A., man, it's easier for him to be loud and wrong than it is for him to actually, like, do some homework and really, like you said, trust the people around him. So, like, when he gets going, like, it's one of those things where you probably be better off changing the channel. Like, you're not going to get anything of substance from him.
So this is where I want to defend Stephen A. at this fight. You know me, I'm always, I just like to try to see it,
Hey, first James Franklin, now Stephen A.
Oh, my goodness. Listen, man, first of all, he's ridiculous for saying that. But let me be clear. ESPN does not have any of the Big Ten for real. They don't have it, right? The Big Ten essentially is Fox's baby. Fox Big Noon about to be there 3 times in a row. That's Fox's baby. And they know that last weekend in November, how them ratings are going to be this year. And they're trying to sabotage, right? And he is the biggest voice at ESPN. You have to sabotage. We cannot allow them to continue to set these records. We're ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Yeah. Well, some sports, but in college football, Fox is just chugging along, just in every single year. The highest rated game is what game? Michigan, Ohio State. Who has that game again? Fox. And the thing is, for ESPN, they're like, hey, people gonna watch the playoff anyway, whether Michigan's in it or not, right? So in this final year where ESPN has all of the playoff, right, the 4 games, they have all of them, right? Next year they're gonna start splitting it out, and different networks gonna get opportunities because of the expanded playoff. In the last year, they don't care if Michigan in there. People are going to be watching it regardless. But one thing they can do, they can kick Fox down a couple pegs, because even, College Game Day, even the Big Noon kickoff show outrates College Game Day on that weekend when Michigan playing Ohio State. They can't allow it. They can't allow it. So the top dude, he's got to step out front and say crazy stuff like ban the best team in a generation as far as Michigan is concerned, but the best team, in my opinion, in college football, or maybe say the second best team, got to ban them so that they can't even go to the playoff. And then nobody will really want to watch Michigan, Ohio State.
Yeah.
Well,
that's my, you know what I mean? I just want to, I just want to. Yeah.
But he's the loudest and the most ridiculous with his opinions though. Like his opinion is they should be banned because they have some sort of competitive advantage. The guys who it strikes me as the guys who never played, like Stephen A. barely played when he tried to play basketball. So you're going to tell the football people how big an advantage that Michigan had on the football field because of whatever signs that they had. Same thing with Feinbaum. He never ran fast in his life, and you're going to tell these guys that played football that they the code word that their signal word that they use for every segment, every episode is cheaters. So now every fan base, every fan that watches ESPN, then when they can associate the word Michigan with cheaters now because they keep recycling that word every segment, cheaters. And it's ridiculous. Like it's like some sort of like social programming and social engineering.
Yeah. Man, Feinbaum been waiting for this though, Daniel. He can't stand Arbor. And he an SEC guy. It's a win-win for him. He like, man, I get to smash Arbor. I get to smash a Big Ten team. I'm ready. He like, man, put me on TV every day, every second, baby.
I get all the Michigan fan base clicking to come see the crazy stuff I said, so my views go up. So it's definitely a game. This is definitely a game they're playing.
Yeah, that's the part that I don't. Some of it seems like really, really contrived with Feinbaum because remember first he was defending Harbaugh. Then he's like, oh man, I got a chance to I can boost my numbers.
He got that call from ESPN. He heard how the numbers was about to hit. If he went the opposite way, he said, "Yeah, okay. let me switch it up a little bit."
All right. So nothing authentic about Paul Feinbaum. Stephen A., I wonder if that's a bit contrived too, which is a good segue into talking about Chiron, who is totally authentic, right? So listen, producer Ben is out. So I want to preface this. If you have kids in the room, I want to preface it. I was not able to bleep Chiron in his post-game video, his post-game interview, okay? So if you have kids in the room, or you're driving home, I'm about to play. It's about, I don't know, how many seconds is this video with Chiron? It's about 60 seconds. So you might want to mute it now. I give you an opportunity to do so because we're going to play Chiron, showing all the emotion of the victory that Michigan achieved in Happy Valley without Jim Harbaugh. All right? So I'm about to bring that to you right now. This is Chiron Moore post-game. Michigan beat Penn State 24-15, and they put the camera in front of them. All right, so here we go. I'm about to share that with you now. Share this Chrome tab right here. Here we go. All right, so fellas, that's Rome, kind of giving you exactly how he's feeling. There was no time. So you catch players. You guys were there, man. You catch people in the heat of the moment before they have a chance to really compose. This is not even a press conference. This is like coming off the field. So that lends itself even more to the emotion of the moment. But I'm curious, what was your reaction? We'll start with you, Dan. You saw that. Your reaction to when you saw Chiron showing that emotion.
Man, I was excited for those guys. Like I'm watching him and I'm excited that I see him crying and start thinking about what they've been through. I was like, at first I was like, whoa. And then when I start thinking about everything that they've been through over this last week or so, as far as, people on the outside saying it's self-inflicted and whatnot, that doesn't matter. When you have all of these distractions, you have people asking you questions, doubting you, questioning whether what all you've done over the last 2 years and all the hard work you've put in, and you go out and prove that, hey, we can do, this is real. And the way that they did it, all right, it's not just, we went out there. We went out there and punched you in the mouth. We knew what was coming, and we were able to go out there and do it. I think all of that, release of emotion just came out at the end. And you could tell it was genuine because when you see Blake interviewed after him, Blake is like kind of like stunned and kind of like fighting back the emotion as well, right? Like it wasn't just Chiron, it's everybody. And Devin's been there, I've been there. For one, there's nothing like winning on the road in the Big Ten. Like it's the loudest arenas, it's the craziest fans in the country. So you went on the road in the Big Ten, there's already a certain level of emotion already on top of what everything that they've gone through. And I'll say another thing. There's been a lot of people writing and saying different stuff about Chiron Moore in the media. And I think that's crazy to call him embarrassing and say things about another grown man showing his emotion about something they've all achieved together, right? And you see a guy like Pat McAfee get on ESPN and throw the third born on. It's a lot of people in Ann Arbor acting like they were born on third base, using the Jim Harbaugh quote about Ryan Day against him. So it's like all of those people doing those things, making fun of this man, showing his passion and emotion for his team and what they've accomplished, man. I think it's a bit low, especially from guys who competed. It's a bit low.
Devin?
Well, I thought it was hilarious, just because, and you probably think it's a different reason. Because I'm looking and I'm just like, because I like, Jenny Tabb, co-worker, right? I like Jenny Tabb. She asked a real nice question. He ignored it. He completely ignored it in true Jim Harbaugh fashion and just went to whatever he was going to say. That's what you learn in media. When you're a young player, they bring in a media coach, you don't have to answer the questions of the media that ask you. You can say whatever you want, right? So I thought that was, I'm like, I wonder what he's going to say. It had nothing to do with the question. It was hilarious. And then he went straight to, hey, talk to these guys, right? Now, would I have been the guy that was crying like that? Probably not, right? But I will say, I watch sports movies and triumph stuff really gets me, man. It gets that throat real, And when I'm watching the sports movies, it's not a camera in my face asking me questions about how I feel about the sports movie, right? So I don't know what happened. I might burst into tears. You just don't know, right? But I think that it was in true Harbaugh fashion. Hey, man, I understand you asked me a question, but I'm not answering that. I'm just going to say what I'm going to say, and then you can talk to these guys. So, like I said, I don't know what I would have did. I don't think I would have, but I've watched some, like, Facing Giants, man. That's one of them. I was on a plane boo-hooing and crying on that movie, and I'm just like, what's come over me? So you just never know. You never know, but I don't think people should make fun of him for showing emotion. I mean, if he want to cry, I mean, it's up to him, right? But I think that people have to take into account for this one person, right? First of all, there are no black head coaches at the University of Michigan. There just haven't been, right? So you got to think about that, right? He's a black coach. He knows the how monumental what he's been able to do, even the one time he had his opportunity and then now on this time, right? So let's put that first, right? Secondly, he's a guy that wants to be a head coach someday. So this is an audition that he just found out about on the plane on the way there, right? So he just found out. You got another shot, right? And you got to be ready. That's second. And now third, he's the offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach. Right? He got other stuff to do. He wasn't really prepared to be the head coach too, right? Make all the decisions and all that. And we've seen how hard it is. James Franklin struggled. We'll talk about it later. It's a hard deal to make the decisions, and James Franklin didn't even have to be a coordinator, right? So he's got all these different things working at the same time. And when you get the camera in your face, man, a lot of people say what they would do or they wouldn't do. Or people act like, oh, man, I'm so good at media stuff. I could be on TV. All right. Wait till they shut them lights on real bright. It's real hot in your face. And then they put that mic in front of you and ask you a question. Your grammar, your ability to formulate thoughts, sentences, all that goes out the window. Right. So, I want people to just take a step back and let the man do what he's going to do. But he had a lot weighing on him. And then, like Daniel said, the way they did it, offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, and you go 32 straight run plays, 0 passing plays in the second half to beat the #1 run defense in America. That's a lot, man. All that I just listed, that's a lot on you. I guess I would have cried too.
So listen, you got to know the dude. There is not a
bone in his body,
a disingenuous bone in his body. That's just that dude. And his plan, I could say his plan was to do. If you watch Jim after games, he goes, "Oh, go talk to him right away." Right? You get a question in, you say you answer the question you want to. Now he don't even answer the question.
He don't.
Just go talk to him, right?
Yeah.
So Chiron was going to do that, but she kind of caught him. She caught him right there. You can.
He was taking it back.
He tried to hold it together, and he couldn't because I told you guys, man.
And the player wasn't quite in position. You got to get in better position, bro.
So he couldn't grab the player to come in.
Yeah.
And so I told you guys, I don't know if it was on this show or other shows, but I said, look, the players are really insulated from this. They're used to dealing with a lot of noise anyway, because every year there's a hardball to the NFL rumor, right?
Yeah.
So I was talking to some of the seniors about it last year. I was like, man, how do y'all handle that? You know, you had just gone through it with the Vikings, and then last year it was with the Broncos. It's like, hey, man, we just, you know, this is how it is. We just know, hey, coach is going to do what he's going to do, and we'll be all right. The program is going to be all right, no matter what. This is what the seniors were saying. So they were taking it upon themselves to tell the newcomers, whether they be the transfers or the freshmen, like, hey, man, calm down. This is just how it is around here.
This is how we living.
Right. So when this comes around, they're like, it's just more of the same. Now, do they get ticked off that people are basically undermining their success? Yeah. And like you said, Devin, it's a motivator. It's a galvanizer, right? It's like, we're going to show you. But the coaches gotta make sure that the players aren't distracted, right? They got to make sure they aren't knocked off course. But you fighting all these battles all the time. You got the NCAA coming for you. You got the Big Ten coming for you. You got your colleagues. Like, you know, if nothing else, man, yeah, we compete, but we're colleagues at the end of the day.
Hey, don't say nothing to me at this next Big Ten Media Day is what I'm on.
Don't
look at me. Don't talk to me. I'm not playing them games. You know me, Sam. I'm not playing them games. You have publicly disrespected me. Don't talk to me. Ain't no cordial, ain't no group photos. Nah, dog. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no more friends. No more friendly Big Ten camaraderie. To hell with all of that.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Bingo.
Right.
Bingo.
That is the deal, because all these, it's one thing to be sharing the signs with Purdue. Like one coach told me, he said, that's not illegal. What are you talking about? I said, man, I wasn't telling y'all it's illegal. That's not my point. My point is they're saying it's this huge advantage that Michigan gained. Well, if it's this huge advantage Michigan gained from advanced scouting, who gains more of an advantage? And if it's a player safety issue, advanced scouting, weren't Michigan's players in danger too? Right. So you flip the argument. They don't have nothing to say.
Yeah,
right.
Remember that was my point when we talked earlier this week. Who's worse? So Daniel, in your opinion, in your estimation, who's worse? A regular old dude who Connor gave a ticket to go record with his iPhone the signs, or $1 million coaches, $700,000 coaches, $500,000 coaches who are using their football acumen and their brain, rubbing it all together, giving a nice spreadsheet to try to beat one team. Which one is more damning or gives you the most advantage, in my opinion? Which one?
That's obvious. Anytime you get a bunch of head coaches together and they're conspiring to beat one team and you still can't do it. I told y'all last week Jim Harbaugh was a bully, and they really don't like that. You got other coaches. You got 3-4 coaches from other universities meeting with each other. I thought they were so busy. You meeting with your team and your players and position groups. Right? You got time to meet with the coach.
Man, they want Debo out the hood. It's Friday. They want Debo out the hood because they sick of running around having to tuck their chain all the time. They put the stuff underneath. Who coming? Debo. You better put that chain up. Yeah, I'm gonna just tuck mine in.
Yeah.
He just took theirs in and got it. Hey, you said Ohio State want the Big Ten championship to be both ours. Like my man.
Hey, we need to keep it down at my house. It's both ours.
They want their bike back.
Hey, so listen. It was one of those deals where all the coaches are coming at you too. If nothing else, these administrators, right? They, Tony Petitti doesn't know a thing about football. Alan Haller telling them some garbage. He doesn't know anything about football. You kind of expect it from them. But the coaches, it's like, oh, y'all are on this, that we cheated. We got this. Come on. Okay, cool. And so all of that, you try to protect the players. You fighting all these battles left and right. You don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day because, they can arbitrarily come down with all kind of punishments on you. So you are thinking about all these things. And the other piece of it is you don't know where all the hell all this came from. Yeah. I keep trying to tell people, like I ask many guys, I said, man, I don't know what this is. I don't know what you're talking about. Like they literally had no clue. So you got all of that going on. And you get in the game and they're getting you. Like the plan out the gate for Penn State is working. Right. And then you figure out a way to nullify it because, you outcoach Manny Diaz, and then overall you outcoach James Franklin, right? Which, I guess that's an accomplishment. I guess that's an accomplishment, right? But you get all of that done, and then they put a microphone in front of you and ask you how you feel. And it's like, how I feel? I mean, that probably wasn't even the question, but that's what he's thinking. This is how I feel. And it just all came out. And I can't, my concern about Chiron is not that he's too genuine. It's not that he shows too much emotion. It's what I've learned in watching coaches is you got to have a little bit. These coaches got to have a little bit of head coaches. I haven't met a head coach in any sport, any profession, didn't have a little bit of a-hole in him. Yeah. A little bit. And Chiron doesn't have any, man. He doesn't have any. That's what you like. He just this genuine dude.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna have to get some. I mean, you got. I think that's just the nature of the profession. Like you got to have a little bit to be in that
Sam,
job,
but I got to push back on that because we say he don't got no a-hole in him.
He
chose to just run the ball down their throat. That sounds like an a-hole to me. So you just gonna embarrass us at our crib with our strike stadium. That's what you gonna do. You ain't gonna throw no passes. You're on 3rd and 11. You ain't gonna throw it. That's disrespectful. That's a little a-hole. I'm sorry.
No, stop it. Stop. He gave you the opportunity to stop it. Okay, you want my signs? Here's my sign. I'm running it. And I ran it this way. And I'm gonna run it this way again. Right?
You know what? The one thing everybody's ignoring is the last two ranked opponents, highly ranked, I might add, top 10 teams that they played, Ohio State, Penn State. Ohio State changed their sign, so there were no signals, right? There were no signals, and they got blasted at Ohio State.
And they had ours.
Opponent was this past week at Penn State. Obviously, no signals, right? Because we haven't gotten we don't got the signals. And I'm sure if you thought we had them, you changed them as well. And didn't get blasted as bad as we blasted Ohio State at Ohio State, but you got handled. You got handled fairly well. And so, what are we saying? They cheated in all the other games that they were going to win anyway.
Hey,
what are we talking about?
It doesn't have to make sense.
They cheated against Purdue. Okay, so they beat Purdue by 4 touchdowns instead of 3. Like, what are you doing? Like, what? Come on, man. The 2 times they played those highly ranked opponents. One changed their signs, admittedly so, and the other, it's in the middle of the whole sign, whatever. And so obviously they're not going to use the same signs or whatever the case. And both games were dominated. So I'm so confused. Like, are we talking about wins against Indiana? What are we doing?
I said that last week. Like, Michigan cheated to beat who, Stephen A? Michigan cheated to beat who?
Bowling Green?
Stephen A? Like, just pause for a second and let's think about it. Like, you keep using the analogy. Did Michael Jordan have to cheat to beat Michael Curry? Did he, Stephen A? Like, who's your guy in the NBA right now? Do they have to cheat to beat the also Reds? Like, he's all on LeBron. LeBron don't have to cheat to beat the scrubs in the league. He just shows up. So it's like, just logic and reason flies out the window when it comes to making an argument that titillates, that satiates the masses, right? You say it's easy to throw it out there and have people grab onto it because they hate Michigan.
Time out, Daniel. Do you hear this titillate and satiate? What's this? What's happening?
I got we both got Michigan degrees, but he lost me about.
I'm telling you, I graduated from Michigan, but I guess I didn't.
Hey, all right, fellas. All right, so listen. Here's the deal.
Titillate.
We gotta before we move on and talk about the take because they run it down their throats. We've broken down the game already, but we got to talk about the coaching malpractice because this is what we do on Droppin Dimes, right? We break down coaching malpractice. So Devin, James Franklin said he's a pretty good coach. I can agree that he's won 10 games a number of times. But I seem to remember saying he's not even close to being comparable. It's a sign of disrespect to mention his name next to Jim Harbaugh's as if they have comparable resumes. because one guy's resume is way better than the other. And I got a little pushback on that. So rather than pull up the tape, I just want to allow you to revisit your commentary and talk about what you saw from James Franklin in this game. Did what you saw, as you saw him break it down, him get out coached by Chiron Moore, did that change your view of James Franklin?
No, Sam. You want to know why? No, because I just said he was just a pretty good coach. What are you talking about? I say he's a pretty good coach, and that's where it stopped. But you want to try to attack me, right? You want to try to attack me. So let's talk about what he did. And all I'm saying is it was goofy, right? So he goes for 2 to make it a 7-point game instead of kicking at your point, leaving it at 8. And the problem with that is, the analytics say, yeah, that seems less points, right? No, not right. The problem with that is if you don't get the 2, if you don't get it, now you're down 2 scores. So even if you get the ball back on an onside kick or whatever the case may be, you go down and score, you're still probably going to lose, right? Because you just don't have enough time because you whatever. Coaching malpractice at the highest order in such a big game. And did I ever deny that he has some big game woes and doesn't make great decisions? Did I deny that? Did I deny that? Did I deny that, Sam? Or did I have perspective? Did I bring perspective into the situation and say, hey, back when Jim Harbaugh couldn't get it done, right? Everybody was saying he was terrible. I was saying, I think he's fine. I mean, he's just not getting it done right now. He's not beating top 10 teams. He's not going to the Big Ten championship, all those different things. And Penn State at one point actually did go to the Big Ten championship during that time. So that's all I was saying. I didn't say they were the same coach. I didn't say they were comparable. I was just saying I want you to have the same empathy for him that me and you had for Jim Harbaugh when he wasn't getting it done. And that's not to say that James Franklin's ever going to get it done. But that's to say he's a pretty good coach. If you're going to sit here and try to poo-poo 10 wins a lot of time, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not backing down. He's a pretty good coach. Is he the best coach? No. Kobe, I'm yelling because he act like he can't hear me with his headphones.
So here's the deal there. Hey, man, it's not even close. Jim Harbaugh has turned around every program he has coached. Every single one. San Diego took him to the top. Stanford took him to the top. San Francisco 49ers, multiple times in the NFC Championship game, took him to the Super Bowl. They were the playoff team before he got there. Michigan. And I turned that around and people seem to forget. Yeah, James won in 2016.
Yeah, Saquon.
Did you see them to get blasted by Michigan that year? They got lucky in one game and got Ohio State. Michigan gets in that game with a quarterback with a broken collarbone, right? Who can't throw the ball down the football field, and a referee, and they getting jobbed by the refs all game long, especially on the last play call. Especially on the last one, where it's 1 yard, right? And they give it to Ohio State. The next year, man, they needed you to come out of retirement. They needed you to find some eligibility just to complete one pass.
Just one.
People act like
just
Michigan
one.
was just getting run off the field by Ohio State all those years.
They were not.
It wasn't until 18 and 19 that it happened. But if you put the entire body of work together, James Franklin does not – it's like bloomers versus, lingerie. It's that they're not the same. They're not the same.
We're agreeing.
I don't know how we're agreeing.
I agree that he is not comparable to Jim Harbaugh.
You were making it sound like the bloomers and the Victoria's Secrets are the same thing, and they're not, DG. And they're not. I'm just throwing it out there that you made the comparison, not between underwear. But you get my point. You made the comparison between James Franklin and Jim Harbaugh. And I'm telling you, there's no comparison.
Sam, his early inability to be successful, win a championship is the comparison at Michigan. I'm not talking about the whole career. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about at Michigan in the beginning. He was getting done in by the refs, right? In those games. That's fine. The loss is the loss. That's all I was saying. I never said that they were comparable in any way. I'm just saying have the same empathy and grace that you had for Jim Harbaugh. And also I'm saying that does not mean that James Franklin will ever get over the hump. But I refuse to back down from the fact that he is a pretty good coach.
Hey, maybe that's as good as it gets for Penn
got
State.
both right.
Maybe he is as good as it gets.
Yeah, you get outcoached by a dude in his second game who showed more composure than you after they lost their coach before the game. That's number one. You get in the game, they got their full complement of coaches, and they are getting you. 3 times in the first 9 plays, they run right by your right tackle. You got to figure something out. Chiron figures it out in the moment. Oh, we can run up underneath these guys. And then he realizes, wait, offensively, they're not going to move it up and down the field on us. You know, the only way that they're going to have some success is if we make mistakes that lend themselves to helping Penn State. Short fields, right? Sudden change.
Our quarterback getting hit, strip sacks because we didn't protect well. And obviously, you guys are going to see the breakdown, and we got the time and all how quickly they were getting to the quarterback. So that is a huge deal, Sam, and that was a great job by Chiron.
Yeah, or getting your quarterback killed. It's like, we're not going to do that because we know we can run it. We'll pop a few, right? They aren't going to move it up and down the field. And at the end of the day, James Franklin is going to make a James Franklin-like move, right? It's just going to come. You just wait for it. Because he was looking real responsible for a minute. Looking real responsible. Like
there were 2 malpractices. There were 2. There were 2.
And then he reverted to form. He couldn't help himself. He was like a fiend. Like he was like Pookie. We use the Pookie references.
He put him around the product, didn't he? He put him around the product.
He was like Pookie, right? He was like Pookie for a minute. He was being real responsible, and Pookie kept being around the product. And what happened? He reverted. He went back to being a fiend. And that was James Franklin. Went back to being a fiend. Pookie was around the product too much. You put him right there with 4th and 6. 4th and 6 on your own 30 with 4.5 minutes left to go and 2 timeouts. You don't trust your OC. You know how we know you don't trust your OC, James? You fired the man the next day. So it's not like you just stopped trusting him after the game, right? You feel like he's been stepping out on you the whole time. It's not, he didn't just stop. I
don't know Yurcich. I don't know Yurcich like that and whatever, but we can't blame the OC for that. We can't blame the OC for going for it on 4th and 6 on your own. No, you can't do that. I can't allow it. I can't allow it. I'm sorry. Can't allow it. Here's Sam go.
And so here's the thing, man. He made that call that you see James Franklin make. They don't get it because Michigan brings a blitz they haven't seen before. And why would you put that? The quarterback struggled the whole game. You don't trust the OC, and you put the whole game on them when you could have given them a reprieve. You punch, you play defense, and at least at that point, yeah, it's still on the offense, but it's not 4th down. It's not all on one play.
You punt, and guess what? Not only do you punt, and you got the playbook. You know what Michigan doing. They run it every play. So
right,
you really at a real advantage if you punt the ball away.
Coaching malpractice, man. Coaching malpractice. And he went for 2, by the way. He went for
yes, that's the second one, yes.
The second time. Now, analytics, I guess, say go for it. But if it's me, just the psychology of kicking the extra point and the team knowing, okay, we get the ball back, we got a chance. Versus if I don't get this 2-point here, the game's over right now. James just can't stop being James, man. I get it. You know who broke up that 2-point conversion in the end zone?
Will Johnson.
That was Will J. So listen, Will Johnson is the newest member. He is the newest member of the Destination Ann Arbor family. So it is time, folks, for us to get into it. And I'm gonna get you. Listen, I promise. I've already talked to the Johnsons. I said we got to get the Droppin Dimes crew. We got to get everybody. We got to get everybody there. They're buffs. They're turnover buffs.
Hold on. Hold that thought.
Oh, see, DG got to go. Oh, I'm sorry. DG has to go get like buffs, like the buffs. DG has to go get he said, I got to go get the real ones. That's DG for you. While DG is doing that, man, you know what? Why you got? Come on, man. Can't we just all wear the same Same buffs.
Nah, I'm gonna wear the real buffs. I think I'm gonna just go ahead with the real buffs. But I like yours though.
All right. Well, I got the turnover buffs, and this is the brand that Will Johnson, the newest member of the Destination Ann Arbor family, this is his brand. So first of all, as we get into the I Love Ann Arbor segment, it is time, like we always do, to drop the track.
Hey Sam, drop that track.
So NIL is how it should have been when you guys were in school. We know that. It should be. Yeah, I knew I was gonna get some hallelujahs for that.
Amen.
I knew that was gonna come.
Amen.
But you know, it's an opportunity for these young men and women to maximize their earning potential through their name, image, and likeness as student athletes.
Which they should have owned to begin with, but you know.
Yeah, well, don't get me started on the intercollegiate athletic model and amateurism and how much of a farce it's always been, but that's a whole separate conversation. Will Johnson has an NIL deal with Destination Ann Arbor. And one of the things that Destination Ann Arbor sets out to do is highlight all the different aspects of the places to go, the places to eat, the places to stay in Washtenaw County. And so they do that as your tour guides, and we'll give you the QR code that you can scan and look at and use as your tour guide. Now you might be coming to town next weekend, or whenever you're coming. You want to know all the places, all the events that are coming to town, even for locals. It is great for that. But to have a current student athlete with the profile of one Mr. Will Johnson kind of taking you around to some of these spots puts it on a different level. One of the things I'm interested in doing, because I know all these guys like the steakhouses, so I want to see what his favorite steakhouse is. And if he has some places that he wants to go, but I thought it'd be a cool idea if we recommended some spots, whether it's some eating spots or some places that you in Ann Arbor or Washtenaw County that you think we should check out, or he should check out, or we should check out with Will. Drop them in the comment section of the video, and we will hit some of those spots. But this dude, you know, I watched him grow up. I remember him going out in the Sound Mind, Sound Body camps as an 8th grader. He was an 8th grader competing against the high schoolers. And now he is out there balling for the university. And when I say he looks like he looked at the end of last year. You remember they threw the fade in the end zone. They tried to get him in the first quarter. He got that one out there, and then at the end they tried to hit the tight end. And, you know, Will looked like he had dropped back in zone and came out of that and knocked that ball away. And you see him off the field. There isn't a guy who's more – you want to talk about a guy who is about his business?
I don't know what his voice sounds like. He don't talk. He don't say nothing. Right? I really, like, literally, if he was talking outside my door, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know who it was. I'm like, who's that whispering out there? What are we doing? He don't talk. He is a business-like individual. Even when I used to see him in high school, like I never really talked to him just because it's just like, I don't want to bother you. Right? He's just about his business, man. I mean, he got a good smile. He smiled every once in a while, but you can tell, man, just his ability, and obviously a lot of the credit goes also to his family, his dad and his mom, but he is a business-like individual. He's a pro. He's been acting like a pro since he was about a sophomore in high school, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's right. He does. He has grown man tendencies.
He's act like a pro since he was like a sophomore, man. Right. Maybe even as a freshman, but I remember like my first glimpse of him was as a sophomore. He's had a workman-like approach in everything since that time, and it's just like, this is pretty impressive.
Yeah, you look at Will. You looked at Will at senior high school. You felt like he had a mortgage, like he was paying a mortgage somewhere, because he was just that about his business, right? His website, by the way, where you can get your own turnover buffs or turnover buffs gear, will2johnson.com. That's Will, the number 2, Johnson.com. And you can get your buffs gear, your turnover buffs glasses, which I thought this was an unbelievable concept, because you get fans, you include them. That's the thing, man. If you can include fans in the experience, any way, shape, or form, the best athletes do that. You make the fans feel a part of it. And that's what, to me, that's what made the turnover buffs concept so great.
Yeah.
Is, hey, you know how we go on the sideline, folks, and we go get the
Get you
buffs every
some.
time. You can do the same thing every time we get a turnover. Put on the buffs, and so that's why when took a picture a couple weeks ago. Every time they do it, I just tweet a picture of that. Charles does the same. Charles Woodson he tweets a photo of himself in the buffs every time they score. Tracy Wolfson, another Michigan love, every time they score, puts on it, but she tweets it out. So the Michigan people are kind of getting behind it, and the fans, I really think, is going to pick up, and it'll explode if this matchup that we're about to see next week. We're going to try to get Will. We're going to try to get him on for next week. Probably not during the week. We might have to record it because it's Ohio State week. But fellas, Devin, this is what it's Michigan, Ohio State, but then it's taking on number 18. Like this is on a whole different level right here. This is when turnover buffs goes national. It's not a Michigan thing, just a Michigan thing anymore. If you do your thing against number 18.
Will Johnson has an opportunity to be a top 3 pick in the NFL draft. Just because corner may not go number 1, that's tough. If he goes out and they task him with stopping one of the best receivers of a generation, one of the best body control, flexibility, speed, separation, route running, big, strong, whatever you need in a wide receiver, it's like they created him in a lab. If he can go out there and, he's uniquely equipped to be able to, tall, long, disciplined in his technique, he's fully healthy. If he can go out and do that, man, that NIL deal might not be enough with Destination Ann Arbor. You have to read him up. I'm telling you right now. If he does that, they may not only will they talk about Michigan, but they may be talking about Will Johnson in specific segments, all on every national show of like, this is the Marvin Harrison stopper. Like, on the biggest stage possible, he stood tall and locked down a receiver that everybody universally believes is the best receiver of a generation. Whew, that's tough. Hey, this is the type of thing that's gonna make us say, you no longer get to talk to me directly. You call Sam, you call me, and that's how you're gonna get to me. Nobody talks to Will Johnson directly from here on out if he does that.
What's my man name? Frank. Frank.
There is no more talking to me directly, and never on the phone. You talk to Sam talk to Devin talk to my mom. You know what I mean? That's how it's gonna work. But with no more talking to Will Johnson directly if he does that.
Yeah, you know what? I don't expect, even if he is tasked with doing some man-to-man coverage on he almost certainly will. But I don't think they're going to do it the whole game. I mean, the dude.
I know they're not going to let him run free through the defense like the rest of these teams are. I tweeted out the other day. How are we continuously letting him run free through the zone? You better put some hands on this man. Treat him like he's generational. What are we doing? How are we letting him just run freely through defenses without getting aggressively touched? I don't get it. And I don't think they're going to allow that. I don't think
I think that's definitely going to be the game plan. If they win, it won't be that dude. Like we'll bring a safety over the top if we have to, right? Mm-hmm. We'll see what.
Yeah, we don't have no pride in it now. Hold on.
Right. So listen, folks, very, very excited that we're going to have Will on a few episodes here on the I Love Ann Arbor segment, and he's going to be previewing some of the places that he's going to take us. If you have some places you recommend, including for us, because we're going to be doing our tour of our favorite spots in Ann Arbor, but we are welcoming to all suggestions as well, whether it's places to eat or, kind of venues or things to take in Ann Arbor. Drop them down in the comment section, and we'll be sure to add a couple of those to the mix as we get out and about and head around town. And certainly there's going to be a lot to talk about as we get deeper into the conversations with Will, and certainly after the Big Ten. That is essentially the Big Ten championship game, because whoever wins Michigan, Ohio State will without question win the Big Ten championship. Can you believe Iowa is tracking to go back?
I got Iowa, Illinois this week. I got the game. So
That's
I got the game.
unbelievable.
If they win, they are going to the Big Ten championship, and it'll be 2 and 3 years, which is very impressive. Even though they're in the West, it's still impressive to get
It's
the
sad.
championship twice.
It's sad is what it is, DG, that the West is so bad that a terrible, the worst offense in all of college football can be a champion.
Hold on now, Sam. They had 400 yards of offense this past week. Just saying.
In one game?
And yeah,
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's somebody was cheating.
Ah!
Somebody was cheating to make that happen. I can hardly buy it. Something happened.
They had 400 yards of total offense against Rutgers, a pretty good defense.
Kirk Ferentz might cry after the game again.
That's pretty impressive, actually.
I'm trying to tell you, they figured it out.
All right. Well, as I've been saying, your tour guide to all things Ann Arbor is Destination Ann Arbor. Right now, I'm going to bring up for folks the QR code so you can always check it out. Any of the spots that you might want to, whether it's places to eat or places to stay. As I always say, Destination Ann Arbor is your tour guide to all things Ann Arbor, so you can be sure to check them out. So let me go ahead and add them to the mix right now so you can see for yourself.
Ferris Khan, I know Penn State beat Iowa 31-0, but they had a different quarterback.
All right, folks, that is your QR code. So scan that for Destination Ann Arbor, your tour guide to all things Ann Arbor. Even if you want to have an event in town. That was one of the things that I was excited to hear. People do weddings and gatherings and reunions and that kind of thing. Destination Ann Arbor can be a resource in that regard too, in addition to letting you know all the great events and places to go around town as well. Again, Destination Ann Arbor. All right. So back to it, fellas. A question that I want to throw at you guys right now that I didn't in the pre-show, just real quickly before we talk about Draymond being Draymond. Yesterday, the 24/7 Sports crew, they put out a story about the number one or the top quarterbacks in the 2025 draft. All right, we haven't even got to the 2024 draft. And like, what are you talking about? They did the 2025 draft. You know who they had at QB1 in 2025?
Who's that?
JJ McCarthy. And so here's the question. Under what scenario, fellas, if you were JJ or if you were advising JJ, would you tell him to come back for one more year? Is it a foregone conclusion that he should go in your eyes, or is there a circumstance, a scenario under which you tell him to come back?
Daniel?
I would, if I'm advising JJ, I advise him to come back. He's not clearly the number one pick. I know if you're a first round draft pick, you should go. I think he's going to be a first round draft pick whenever he decides to go. All right, but there's a difference between going maybe in the top 15 to 20, depending on which quarterback needy teams are available after. The two guys that everyone assumes are going to go 1 and 2, Caleb Williams and Drake May, right? Mm-hmm. So if you got a chance to come back next year, develop your game even more, have a chance to win another national championship, and then go out as a number one overall pick, I think that's much more enticing than just being one of the 8 or 9 guys that they were mentioning going in the first couple rounds this year. Right now, I've seen things with JJ as high as him going in the top 10, and I've seen things late first round. So it just depends on, with it being all over the place. I think if you're going to be the consensus number one guy, if you wait a little bit, I think you should really give that some serious thought.
For me,
yeah,
and I got a little unique perspective because I've been studying them all year. As you know, we do Monday morning quarterback, all that. He's ready to be a pro. That's first. Talent, brain, emotionally, EQ, emotional intelligence, all those things he's ready to have. And so for me, if he comes out obviously he comes out next year, I think it's a foregone conclusion he'd be a number one all the way. They'll just dissect him all the way up until the draft of he can't do this, can't do that just because he's the number one guy, clear cut, especially after winning that championship or whatever. He comes out this year, he's going to be a first rounder, maybe top 10, maybe even a little lower. And for me, I think that's a blessing in disguise, man. Because you go number one, you go to this terrible team, terribly run organization, and now all the pressure's on you. Now, can he handle it? I think so. I think he could. But I feel like if you put yourself in a different position later in the first round, really good team, good roster, good organization, you don't have the problem Caleb has. Caleb's problem is he's going number one. Right? He don't have he's going number one. No matter what he's talking about, he's going number one. For JJ, it's like you slip to a really good team with a good roster, good offensive line, all those things, and it's like you kind of just take yourself out of the Michigan situation and you put yourself in another Michigan-type situation. I think that's a win, man. And I think that's the best thing for moving forward throughout your NFL career rather than, you go first overall, this team's terrible, everybody's terrible, the organization's terrible, and they're going to all blame me because I was the number one pick. I would advise them to come out.
That's a take. But I'm looking at CJ Stroud, and I'm like, man, if CJ Stroud can do it, JJ damn sure can do it. They talking about CJ Stroud like he about to be the MVP.
And
you see the numbers he putting up?
He might be. But you got to take – all right, now, CJ Stroud, as much as he didn't beat Michigan, firstly, in those Michigan games, he played really well. They couldn't figure it out. He threw for 400 one year, and I think the next year he threw for 3-something. He did what he was supposed to do. He maybe had a turnover late when they were this past year. But let's be honest, if we really watched the game, and I'm not Ohio State guy, obviously, he was very good in those games. And then you go throughout his whole career. CJ Stroud was super nice his whole career. And the thing is, he's authentically himself, if that makes sense. Like, he is a guy similar to JJ, right? And for him, I think if he goes to the Panthers, it's a little different. Because think about it. They got our own Nico Collins that nobody knew just because they didn't have no guy to throw to him, right? He's going off. They get him Tank Dell. He's got some real pieces. And then you got a new coach who I believe is going to be a really good coach, one of those players type of coaches. I think that he was given a unique situation going to the Texans that you just don't get too often. They got a pretty good deal going over there, and he puts that way over the top because of how good he is. I don't want us to poo-poo now. That guy, he's pretty good.
Yeah, hey, man, if you
just couldn't be Michigan. He just couldn't be Michigan. They're amazing. I mean, what do you want?
Yeah, to me, there are a few factors. Do you get a big time NIL deal to stay? That factors in because it has to make sense financially.
I mean, $20 million signing bonus. I don't know if there's no $20 million NILs out there, man.
Yeah, I mean, if he's outside the top 10, is this signing bonus going to be $20 million if he's outside the top 10?
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Like if he's a top 10 pick, it's like okay.
They giving out $13 million signing bonus.
Here's what I know. First of all, it's on the table. Returning is absolutely
of course.
He has not made up his mind to leave. That's number one. But number two, this dude, if they do what we think they're going to do and win the national championship, he could legit come back and be the greatest dude to ever wear the uniform.
You think he has to come back to be considered? Maybe it can be arguable, but I think if he goes and win the national championship based off of his career and what he's been able to do, maybe the stats won't say that. But I would say that there's an argument that he's won. Like,
oh yeah, I'm not this. Oh,
you beat Ohio State 3 times. Come on, man.
Well, Charles beat Ohio State 3 times,
and that's why he one of the greatest.
Right.
And you're talking about individual player, not like quarterback.
Listen to what I'm saying. He wins the national championship this year. He's not going to win the Heisman because they're hating on him too much. He's not going to win the Heisman.
Well, you had the game where they, you didn't throw any passes. I mean,
yeah, they're gonna hate on, and then you got writers saying that Michigan cheated. So I'm not. Anyway, he wins the national championship this year with the season that he's had and the kind of game he'll have to have against Ohio State. He will already be considered. He'd be in the discussion for the greatest player. He certainly would be one of the greatest.
But Sam, if he does that, how does he not go in the top 10?
Man, you tell me these
ain't no way some coach is watching this film because we watch the film. No way they're watching this film, seeing him playing a pro style of offense where he has to make real decisions and choose the mic and all the. No way a coach is looking at that, and then he goes and does what he does and wins that. There's no way he doesn't go.
I'm saying, why the hell? I wouldn't have Drake May ahead of him right now. That's what. So you asking me questions. And I'm trying. I can't get in their heads. I don't know what they see to
But
have
what if
Drake
it's
May
another
ahead of
game?
JJ. I think JJ, when you consider his talent and what he has up top, is the best quarterback prospect in this game. I'm not saying that he's more physically talented than Caleb Williams, but I'm saying if Caleb Williams was a quarterback for Michigan last week and hey coach, hell no, man, we throwing this rock. That's
You
what
think
happened.
so?
Hell yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
But does it, if you have Caleb Williams, do you make that decision to only go run heavy?
That's a good question.
That's how I look at it. Like, it's one thing, like you just said, Caleb is more physically talented, right? And JJ,
I don't think
we don't see JJ with the statistics, right? I think if he comes back, it would be to show that he can do it statistically and as an individual, because these last 2 years, like, this has been really run heavy. Even this year, the games he's had big passing against teams that are not very good, right? So let's, like, what if we beat Ohio State again in 2 weeks and it's another, we run the ball 40, 50 times, again he throws it 15? Has that really proven that, like, as far as you guys break it down, so you see him like work within the concepts or within the pro scheme, but we still haven't seen him go out and produce at an extremely high level like we've seen Caleb Williams, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, all these guys who have been number one high draft picks. We haven't seen the offense really being put on their back the way we've seen their offense be put on their back the way JJ had. That may not ever happen.
You're right. To your point, Daniel, maybe you don't, and then you wind up seeing him throw all them interceptions like he did against Notre Dame,
right? Because
he's under pressure and you can't protect. But do I think that he would have taken as easily to the modified game plan? I just think that his composure. You said EQ, his emotional sort of maturity is on a different level. In addition to the fact that he's a guy who is trained up in the ways of a pro style quarterback, that makes him the best. And yet they're still talking about like Drake May. I kind of get Caleb Williams, but they're talking about Drake May.
Drake May is really good. So the thing is, for me, I'm so close to the JJ situation because I study it so much. Like, that's why I know way too much, right? So, but you got to think, a guy that's looking outside in, that's not studying it every day, you can't see the impact that JJ's having, if that makes sense. And so that's why those people don't get to pick quarterbacks, right? The people who will be studying it will be the professionals, right? The coaches at the next level, and they're going to take a deeper look and dive and say, if they listen to people like Mike Mayock, of course they shouldn't even have the job. What are they doing? You know what I mean? Right. And I'm not even trying to be funny. It's like, you shouldn't be listening to the draft experts. You're a draft expert, but you would much rather be a coach. But we can't trust your football acumen. That's why you're gonna stay a draft expert, right? Or else if you wanted to, you would be a GM or whatever the case may be. So I think that people that are making these things, that first of all, Drake May has a lot of traction, right? He's been in the spotlight as that guy, and I think he's really, really talented. I haven't dived in as much as I've been with JJ, but I haven't seen all that the things that they're seeing. But it's easy, right? It's low-hanging fruit. Oh, he was already the guy, so let's just keep him as the number 2 guy. And coaches shouldn't. Now, some coaches do, and that's why you see so many mistakes in the draft. Coaches shouldn't, and I don't think they'll make that mistake with JJ, especially with Jim Harbaugh as his coach.
Well, here's what I know. JJ has more on his menu than those quarterbacks who they get the assignment every play. They get the assignment. They get the assignment handed to them. I'm not saying that as a criticism. It's an observation. I just think JJ is more ready. Now, will the analysts and the draft people agree? It doesn't seem like it. But my point is, the chance to be the greatest to ever do it is a thing, man. Is a thing. You could go down as the greatest Wolverine ever. If you win a championship and you come back and you do it again, man, I think that's something that's on his mind. Now,
but I think of a Matt Leinart, right? I think of a Matt Leinart who, you got to come out, man. He should have came out. And then he comes back and, whatever. Who was it? Who was it? Not March. I think it was another USC guy. But like Matt Leinart, I think if he comes out, his life is vastly different. If he comes out after that junior year, he comes back and all that is real good. But as much as JJ is a team guy, his ultimate goal, past this, obviously his feet are where he is. He's going to be in the moment. He's not going to ever think about the draft and all that, because that's how you fail, right? That's how you get in your own way. But when that time comes, his ultimate goal is to be the greatest quarterback ever at the next level. Right, being greatest quarterback at Michigan, that's really cool. That's amazing. And you will never buy another sandwich. You'll never work a day in your life. You'll be perfectly fine. But being one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of that other league,
I'm not. He's going to be the greatest quarterback ever this year. I'm talking about greatest player ever.
And that'll get you not having to buy a sandwich. You'll always have work or whatever, but that's not going to get you nothing at the next level. Nobody care about how good you were in college. We see it all the time, right? I don't care about that Michigan prowess. The only thing it's going to do is make us make fun of you like, oh, you think this is Michigan. That's all it's going to do. All the old heads going to make fun of you and on the football team. But the ultimate goal, man, and he's worked so hard to get to this point, even just in this offseason alone. Forget about all the quarterback training and all that stuff you've kind of built to this moment. Football is a dangerous sport. I'm talking about just this past offseason, the leaps and bounds he's taken. Now, some would say, what if he does that again and takes those same leaps and bounds? But the thing is, man, I think he's fully ready to take on that next thing. But let's stop doing that for him. He's hearing this podcast and he starts thinking about other stuff. Let him be where his feet are.
Hey, you talk about the greatest quarterback of all time. You go on, it's about what you do in the pros. The greatest quarterback in NFL history, the greatest quarterback to ever do it, Tom Brady. Hey, man, his Michigan career was preparation. But it's one of those things where he blossomed when he went to the league. So you're right. It's not necessarily what you do in college. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's what you do in the league. Speaking of Tom Brady, did you know that we partnered with Tom Brady's company Autograph?
Yes, we did.
If you're joining us for the first time, you didn't know that you can hear Steady Dropping Dimes on the Autograph app. What's the Autograph app?
Sam, they also don't know Tom is about to be on the show in the next segment.
Yeah, that's right. IPG. Look at that. That is absolutely right. See, Tom had a novel concept. What if I could aggregate all aspects of fandom in one app? The blogs you read, the sites you read, like the Michigan Insider, the podcasts you listen to, the shows you watch on YouTube, like Steady Dropping Dimes. I put it all in one place where it all comes. So you're a Michigan fan, all of your favorite Michigan fan consumptions are in one place. That's what the Autograph app is. Right now, here's what makes it even better. Not only can you watch Steady Dropping Dimes or any of the other programs, read the stories that we do on TMI, listen to the podcast that we do, check into special events on the app. You get points every time you do those things through the Autograph app. So
Sam, hold on. You get rewards for Sam. Wait. You get rewards for doing stuff you were already gonna do?
Hello?
Where'd they do that?
Hello?
That's not America. Right. No, they nobody give you rewards for doing stuff you was already gonna do.
Didn't you hear me say it's a novel concept? The things that you already do, you get rewarded for through this app. And so Tom, we got together. He knew we didn't have an app. He said, I got something that could be the solution for you. It is. And we got together, and now you can find all of our offerings on the Autograph app as well. So here is Tom himself to tell you all about it.
Told you he's going to be here for the next segment.
It's Tom Brady. I co-founded Autograph with one mission in mind: change the fan experience for the better. That's why I'm excited to announce the release of a new app that recognizes the biggest Michigan fans. The Autograph Fandom app gives you access to the best Michigan content, fan challenges, and exclusive rewards for diehard Wolverines, all for doing the things you already do, like listening to this podcast. Head over to the Apple App Store and search for Autograph Rewarding Fans and download today.
All right. So you see that QR code? I'll blow it up for you folks.
And sorry, guys. It's only for the normal humans who are living in the 21st century.
Would you be quiet? See, Daniel and I, we're loyal Droid users. All right. Yes. We are loyal Droid users.
Samsung.
And they promise us that soon the Autograph app will be available for Android users too. Right now, it is only available for you iOS users. So you iPhone users out there, yes, the Autograph app is only for you right now, but it won't be that way forever. All right. Now, if you're listening to Steady Dropping Dimes and not watching it, like the folks who are in the stream right now, you can still get the Autograph app as well by going to this link. It's link.fan.ag/Sam Webb. It's link.fan.ag/Sam Webb, and that will get you right to the place where you can get the app. All right. So again, folks, get that app, download, and get it going. Oh, excuse me. I gave you the wrong. Let me say it right. Link.ag.fan. See, I got to put it in I'm going to put it in the comments and the description. Link.ag.fan/Sam Webb. Again, that's link.ag.fan/Sam Webb. And the code to download the app, because it is invitation only for Michigan fans. No Buckeyes are going to put Sam Webb in there to get the app, right?
They're never going to do that.
Right, they're never going to do that. But you Michigan fans will. And so you put that code in there, and you'll be able to download the app, you iOS users. I'm putting it in the comment section right now, the link. And so go ahead and check it out. Download that app today and start accruing those points so you can get those rewards. And next thing you know, you'll be able to redeem those points for some great prizes, right? Great options, doing the things that you already do as a Michigan fan. So, fellas, before we go, we gotta talk about Day from Saginaw. Last year I was feeling a certain kind of way because once he went to the league, I didn't have a problem with Draymond, but he socked JP, and that put it on a different level for me.
That was like, pretty weak.
You can't just go sucker punching teammates, let alone a teammate who it felt like it was some Michigan State.
Those are like carnivals and stuff like that. Like, why are you attacking him? He's a fun guy.
Didn't it feel like it was some Michigan State stuff in there though when he did that? That's how
from the story I heard, it was just JP can hoop. Steve Kerr let him loose. He got down on him and was talking that talk, and Draymond took it on to the next day and couldn't let it go.
I heard he told the dude, I heard you.
You a backpack.
You out here getting triple singles.
He said you a backpack on not even designer on. You just a regular old backpack on Steph Curry's back. Hey, but the thing is, all that was the previous day. The next day they said Jordan Poole wasn't saying nothing or whatever, and he wasn't giving Draymond nothing because basically he's proved his point. First of all, I can hoop better than you, and whatever. I'm talking junk better than you too. And now I'm quiet, and he a bully. He bullied him. So
they thought, hey man, he was like he was telling them how much more the man he was at Michigan State. That he had all. Hey, he didn't stop from what I heard.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Draymond from Saginaw, you supposed to be able to give it back, right?
That's what you thought. But when somebody, and when you're playing the dozens, the facts hurt way more. The stuff that you hear already and that you already kind of maybe feel deep down, they hurt way more. Right? Made up stuff, you're real good at it, you can get somebody. But when it's some facts involved, it's like,
hey Sam, I ain't never you don't know how much you want to punch somebody until they giving it to you on the court and they talking to you at the same time. You never. Hey man, it's some guys out here that will make you punch them, and obviously he's one of them. They have in football. Chauncey, how many times we seen Chauncey Gardner Johnson get punched in the face on the football field for the Saints and the Lions? Like it's just some guys like they will give you the business and let you know about it, and it's annoying. So I've seen it happen in practice before. I've seen it happen in pickup games. So hey, Jordan Poole, you just got to know.
My issue with that is I love it when you're doing that to everybody. But other people that gave it to Draymond and he ain't ran up and punched nobody in no face now. And I don't like that. You're going to punch your teammate in the face when it's plenty of people giving you the business, talking crazy to you, all that. And you usually just talk back, but you feel like he got the best of you and now you're going to hit him. And we know Jordan Poole ain't fighting nobody. I don't know Jordan Poole that well. I've seen him, whatever. I'm sure he's never been to a fight in his life. I'm sure of it. He's a nice guy. He's fun. He makes TikToks. He ain't never been to a fight in his life. You're going to attack him?
Hey, come on. You can't talk that much and never been in a fight. It's impossible
But they hooping though. They hooping. This
Ask
ain't
me how I know.
Sam. This ain't the YMCA though. We're at the NBA practice. This ain't YMCA. Okay, you don't know who in there. You don't know who gonna get down on you. But we at practice and I'm hooping.
His reaction to getting punched in the face shows me he hasn't been.
He ain't never been to a fight.
But seriously though, it was a low move on Draymond's part. It really ruined the team that could have won the championship.
True.
And it forced him to make a decision between the two. Now Jordan Poole already got paid, so I'm pretty sure he good either way.
Yeah, he good. But he's got to walk around with the knowing he got socked in the face and ain't get a chance to do nothing. But other than that.
Yeah, now last night was more Draymond being Draymond, man. Like Rudy Gobert didn't have him wrapped up that much to where you got to run over there, put the man in the crossface crippler. That's crazy.
Hey, he got him in the full Nelson. So this is the thing for me. If this was the reason I had a problem with it is because it just seems like bullying again. I'm not the bully guy, right? I can see if I understand like protecting your teammate, right? Clay is an important piece. You got to protect him. Rudy Gobert was not trying to hurt Clay. Rudy Gobert is a gentle giant. He was just trying to separate them, pull them apart, and then you come put him in the full Nelson. I don't agree with it. Another sign of bullying. I don't agree with bullying. I just don't.
Rudy
but
Gobert,
I do agree with defending your team.
No, man. Rudy Gobert seemed like the kind of dude you want to. He seemed like the kind of dude.
But it got tricky last time they played, Sam. Like if you go back and watch the highlights, I think they're available on YouTube somewhere. If you go back and watch the highlights and they played each other, I don't think it was this year. I think it was the end of last year in the spring when they played each other, and it got real chippy out there. Draymond and AE was getting into it.
Yeah. And so that's the crazy thing. Anthony Edwards, he ain't attack Anthony Edwards like that. He was talking some, but he ain't attack. I think Anthony Edwards is about it. That's, and I don't think Draymond would ever attack him like that, is all I'm saying.
Well, Anthony Edwards had that thick Atlanta accent come out on Draymond.
He said, hey, boy, ain't nobody wrong with anybody worry about you.
Oh, man.
Hey, man.
Look at it. Like, come on, Draymond.
That it was good. And Rudy Gobert, that shows me he ain't been in no fights either. He got his hands like this. Get that man off of you, man.
Someone's choking me.
Someone's choking me. Stop him. Somebody stop him.
Yeah, that's around that time, man. You got to start throwing some elbows or something. Why you throwing your hands up in the air? Why you throw your? Hey, man, he didn't already call the foul, Rudy.
Why you selling the foul, Rudy?
Like Rudy just got Clay wrapped up around his body. He don't really have him wrapped up for.
He doing a normal pull the people apart.
And then look at Draymond.
Look at it. Look at Rudy Gobert's face. It's like he was drowning. He was drowning. He can't swim.
It was like one of those horror movies where the person backing up into the sea of hands and faces, and they eat them alive.
Oh, when they pulling you in? They pulling you in? Like he was down with Hades, and you get in the water. Remember on Hercules, you get in the water, and all the souls start pulling you.
See, so there is something to be said for messing with somebody that you know can't get you back.
I don't like that. I don't like that, man.
At the same time, man. If Donovan Mitchell made it seem like Rudy Gobert is like kind of the dude you want to choke. That's how
that whole thing was the whole COVID goofy thing, and that just further my point. He goofy. He did the whole COVID thing, and that's why Donovan Mitchell was mad to begin with. Like, man, you gave me COVID when he was joking around playing too much, right? And that ain't grounds to choke him out. That was he just goofy dude.
Hey, Draymond told him, youngster.
Yeah, I mean,
look, came back around like Ving Rhames on it.
Rudy,
that's like call for your mama, boy.
Yeah, he didn't have no comeback. He didn't have a good comeback on the court, right? He throwing his hands up like he waiting for the ref to come save him. But he had a good comeback after the game.
Call for your mama, boy.
He had a good comeback after the game.
Hey, Draymond was saying something. You think he was saying that? Like, yeah, Rudy, call for your mama, boy.
Go to sleep.
Nah, hey man, if you call the mamas, you Draymond's mama,
man.
Draymond's mama can get down on you now.
No,
you ever met his mama?
No, I never met. I'm talking about Draymond telling it. I
understand.
You see, baby boy.
And I'm saying that Draymond said we could go get mamas too. His mama can get down. I'm just saying.
Oh man.
So listen, folks, we have fun on Droppin Dimes all the time. One of the reasons we're able to have so much fun is because of our great sponsors like Golden Limo. And so I've been telling you about Sean Duvall. There's a story about Ypsilanti High. Fred Jackson was the coach over Ypsi High. Fred is back with Michigan football right now. We all know that. But Fred went over to Ypsi High. And man, I think people didn't really know how disadvantaged the kids were. Right now I'm just talking about the football program. Didn't know how disadvantaged those kids were. I mean, you could say just in general, but how it manifests in football was something that really got Fred, and by extension, got a lot of his friends and got them involved to really start to make a difference over in Ypsi. And one of the people who really went to help with that was Sean Duvall and folks over at Golden Limo. So he told us a little about it in a recent sit down. This is his recollection of making a difference over in Ypsilanti at Ypsi High with Fred Jackson.
So we've talked so much about all the work you do in the community. There's so many different initiatives that you've been a part of. One that I think would resonate with a lot of people who love Michigan.
Oh man, what happened to the audio? All right. The audio kind of cut out on us to see if we can add it back to the stage. It was just about to get good. Well, we'll do that next time. We'll bring it back next time so you can hear more about it. In the meantime, in between time, I think that's a sign that we are out of time anyway, as we'll drop that on the final version, the final episode that we put up online. In the meantime, in between time, for all of your transportation needs, you can check out our friends at Golden Limo and goldenlimo.com. That's executive transport, airport transport, bus transport. Just a bunch of the parents, a bunch of the Michigan football parents got on a Golden Limo bus to Happy Valley and back. And so, it was preparation going and celebration coming back. Thanks to the friends at Golden Limo. They do a great job handling all of your transportation needs, not just for me or DG or soon Daniel, but the Michigan football parents, the Michigan football team, and University of Michigan in general. They ride on Golden. With that, folks, that's going to do it for us this time. We'll see you next week on the next edition of Steady Droppin Dimes. See you next time.